There are two very important things in self-transformation that are very difficult. They're not the only things, but one is more difficult than the other. The one that is less difficult is looking at yourself for who you really are. Looking yourself in the metaphorical mirror and analyzing every part of yourself. Trying to figure out why you do things. Now, there's a trick that the ego pulls a lot of the time. The first why you think of, whether it be labored or immediate, is either often a reaction to the question that you're asking yourself or an excuse, a justification. The true whys, the deeper whys, they're not immediate. And you should always be suspect of your explanations to yourself. I'm just talking about your conversation with yourself, your transformation. Always be suspicious of your explanations because often they are excuses or justifications. And when in relating to ourselves, we kind of have our own little world, our own little gravity operating. So it's easy to be satisfied with an excuse or a justification and to say that it is an explanation to ourselves when it is the vast majority of the time not the case. We like to view ourselves through rose-colored glasses. Even when we think that we're bad or there's something wrong with us, the whys, the excuses and justifications are often very soothing. So looking at yourself for who you really are and getting down to the true whys, not the ones that are either like, oh, this is why I do it, reaction. A lot of the explanations are reactions or labored justifications. It may sound strange, but most people don't know who they are. They hide themselves from themselves. I think it was Yogananda that said, people are so ingenious in how they delude themselves. Now, notice that I did say that was looking at yourself who you really are, getting down to the deeper whys, the ones that are more painful, the ones that aren't soft and comfy. That is less hard than this next part. The harder part is, instead of lamenting at your situation, actually deciding to do something about it, actually doing something about it. And when I say decide, I mean you really decide. And that decision has to be also very much connected to an action, or at least a route to figuring out an action. Perhaps you don't know how to act, you don't know how to change. Find somebody who does, or learn something that will help you do it. That can be an action. A lot of people think that they act in life. So a lot of our previous actions often put us into a rut of similar actions, and we think we're acting, but really we're just, the gravity of our previous decisions is carrying us along this hamster wheel. We're not going onto another wheel, we're not getting off the wheel. The first steps that we took, maybe in life or maybe in who we are now, started spinning the wheel. And we think by keeping moving on the wheel that we're going somewhere we're not. I've had trouble with this recently too. My specifics are long and complicated, and while I do love talking about myself, this isn't really about me. Or is it? I examine my own whys all the time. So let's say you get to a point where you actually look at yourself and you decide to do something about it. So if you fail in either one of these things, that doesn't mean that you can't do it again, that you can't try again. You can always try again. Nobody's completely broken. That's just what I believe. I could be wrong. I've seen a lot of people that think they're broken, or that they can't change, or like they can't either do what they want to do. They can't communicate they want to communicate. They can't get as many friends as they want, or they can't overcome a class or a course. And, a lot of these challenges, we look at the challenge and we're like, oh, this isn't me. I can't do it. This is not my nature. This isn't who I am. I just can't overcome this. I just can't. That's the lament. Instead of, when you look at yourself for who you really are, you see yourself, the vast majority of the time a human being will lament. And I do it all the time. I'm not perfect. And getting out of that lamentation, that depression, is very hard. Pulling yourself out, very difficult. And, to not see yourself for who you are is to be blind. And to not see and both do something or try to do something and then try again is to be a fool. And most people will be blind and foolish many times in their life. The sad thing is a lot of people get caught in it. They think they can't be other than they are. Or they wish that they had this, they wish they had this. Or they wish they were this, they were that. But they get caught up in the lament. And once you get caught up in the lament, you start falling back into not seeing yourself for who you are. Thinking you can't overcome this or that. Thinking you can't change. Thinking that this is just who I am. I just have to deal with it. And that's the scary thing on the spiritual path, is because there's a lot of people misunderstand spiritual quotes about accepting things as they are, or focusing on the moment, or seeing yourself as part of the grander fabric of things. All those things are true, but does not a string go all the way through the fabric? What if the person sewing this grand quilt just stopped? And what if we all just kind of stop sewing ourselves through this quilt? It won't keep the soul of humanity warm. Changing ourselves is conquering ourselves, is what we have the right to do. But we also are the ones who sew ourselves into this fabric. We must make ourselves useful to ourselves first, and then useful to the grander quilt. I guess I'm going with quilt for this. I hope you get the idea. There's a lot of spiritual quotes that people misunderstand because it leads them into complacency. Be in the moment. Okay, when you're really being in the moment, how many of us are thinking about something else? Or how many of us are not thinking, but in more like a dull way than more like a clearing the mind way? Actually being in the moment. Part of it's not wanting anything else, but that can lead to complacency. It's not all about not wanting. It's about being crisp for your experience of the moment. The pushing out all those thoughts is part of it, but being crisp, being completely present, not doling off or not thinking about something else. Very important. And if you do this all the time, you'll receive remarkable transformation. If you're not receiving remarkable transformation, then you're probably not really being in the moment. Now, while you shouldn't necessarily want a whole lot of things, you should try to want transformation for yourself. And it's okay to want to get to a place where you can reach out, or where you can get those things that you want that just give you a better human experience, rather than being rich or anything like that. That can be a want to, but what can help you have a grander human experience? What are those things? Write those things down. Write 3 main ones. And whether it be a relationship, having more friends, actually pursuing this project you've always wanted to pursue, or finally building that one thing that you wanted to build, or learning how to do that. That's the process that you need to discover so that you can weave your thread into the fabric. We are all blind and foolish from time to time. And the blindness and limitation can lead us into complacency for assuming that we know who we are or what we can do. But that complacency, sometimes some of us spiritual people, we use a lot of spiritual quotes to reinforce our complacency without realizing that we're just running on the same wheel. We got on new shoes, but that wheel is the same wheel. The analogy is getting a little convoluted. I don't mean actual new shoes, but, new explanations or new like, oh, this idea is really cool. Let me keep on running with this. New shoes. Very nice. And, one thing is, if a lot of things are overwhelming, step back for a moment, but don't step back for a lifetime. Step back for a moment, don't step back for a week. Because, I know for a lot of my life, I was so focused on being stable. Hey, I'm productive, I got a job, I'm stable. I can do more. Everybody can. Even the mentally, I was about to say inept, but that's a little harsh for us. Even the mentally disturbed. That's also, how can I make this more fancy so that it doesn't sound like I usually beat myself up through. People with mental disorders, like me, we can be more just like everyone else. So all the time we hold ourselves back because it's sadness, non-communication, lamentation. It's comfortable. It's you're used to it. It's being in a prison that the rules of the prison, and you're so used to it that going outside seems scary. And well, it's not funny, but there is that disorder where some prisoners get a thing where they're afraid to be free. All human beings suffer from that to a certain degree. And we lie to ourselves so that our affliction doesn't seem as obvious. Our affliction is not mental imbalance, chemical imbalance, inability to think, to calculate, to communicate. Those aren't our problems. Our problems is complacency and lamentation. Even for people like me. I'm actually not that intelligent. I'm average intelligence. It took me a long time to learn how to communicate, but I worked at it a lot. We're all just trying to work through this life. Try to make your life something that you wake up and there are things that you really want to do. Not just entertainment, not just drinking or drugs, or a lot of the time we get caught up of, okay, I did this, now I'm just going to go entertain myself and then, numb myself. And there has to be more. Spiritual path, very important. A lot of us fall off the spiritual path for a while, or in certain ways. I haven't fallen off for that long, but there's certain things that I know I should be doing that I'm not doing. There should be more than just school or work, entertainment, and then rinse and repeat. What do you want to be? What do you want to experience in your life? I can't tell you that. I don't know what you want. But whatever it is, figure out what you really want. Look yourself for who you are and figure out a way to get there. And for God's sake, as somebody who's lied to themselves a lot in the past, stop lying to yourself. Stop lamenting. And get busy in the best ways possible for yourself. Because if you make your life a wonderful experience, likely it's going to rub off on others. At any rate, this has been a video about, what has this been about, everybody? What's a good title for this video? Because I always, I've been trying to start off with a title, but recently, for this video, actually, I kind of It was a little bit of a ramble, but I tried to keep it on task. I think that I'm going to title this "Making Your Life a Wonderful Experience." I'm sure that's never been written before, right? It's an apt title anyway, even though I'm sure there's plenty of videos that are titled that. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Hit that thumbs up down there if you like this at all. It really helps out traffic to the channel. Put a comment down there if you like this at all. Really helps. You can just say nice or good or just exclamation point. It really helps out traffic to the channel. Comments and likes. Keep in mind that I go through points of depression. I've been going through a point of depression recently. And man, it's hard to pull yourself out of, but you can do it. Make your life a wonderful experience. And what that means is finding a path to making your life a wonderful experience. Spiritual, social, intellectual. There has to be an element of a little bit of all these things to make your life a wonderful experience, in my eyes. At any rate, like, subscribe, comment. All this helps me out. I hope this helped you all out, and all of you. Have a wonderful day.